ultimately, of course, he's fighting.
With a body rounder than a beach ball, Eric Esch, known worldwide as Butterbean, was crushing his rivals with authentic cholesterol bombs at the turn of the millennium, making it clear that the ideal male physique doesn't always come with abs, but with double extra-large power. Butterbean had no problem taking a bite out of an iron bar if necessary. For years, he treated the ring as his favorite table. But Butterbean was not limited to boxing. McDonald's living piggy bank stepped into kickboxing and even sent Jaws straight to sleep in MMA. Here we go.
I want Mike Tyson. He's too stupid to run. I'm still going to get knocked out.
Esch made his boxing debut in the mid-90s and stood out with his cholesterol fist in a fight against Doug Norris, where he also managed to win several regional tournaments. When the bell rang, Butterbean charged mercilessly into frontal collisions, taking the fight directly into close quarters. He showed the world the energy that his star-spangled trunks gave him. After a brutal exchange, Butterbean, with no intention of prolonging the show, stamped his seal on Norris's jaw with a crushing punch that ended the fight in seconds. Butterbean's next fight didn't take long. Just 2 weeks later, Esch faced an even more inflated version of himself, Paul Springer. But it only took Butterbean 30 seconds to make it clear that his body was the ultimate representation of male perfection. After dispatching 3 more rivals, Esch climbed into the ring with Pat Jackson in 1995 on the Nevada state line. Jackson looked like unleashed fury, and his iron fist nearly broke through Butterbean's cholesterol armor. Turning the duel into a cardio session for his rival, Jackson didn't realize that all he was doing was whetting Butterbean's appetite for destruction. Soon after, Butterbean began to tenderize Jackson's ribs with his devastating blows. He was so fired up that even the referee caught a few punches. Fearing for the judge's safety, Jackson quickly chose to abandon the fight. With this double victory, Butterbean made it clear that no one could withstand his power, not even the man supposed to enforce justice in the ring. In March 1996, a new brave challenger appeared, James Baker, determined to test the punch of the bald Peter Griffin. As soon as the referee gave the order, Butterbean began his banquet and took Baker out with his devastating fists, without taking much time to rest. Eric, barely 2 weeks later, crossed paths with another rival, Jonathan Whitfield, nicknamed the Bull. During the initial face-off, Whitfield tried to intimidate our hero by showing off his physique, but he didn't know that Butterbean only feared 2 things: an empty fridge and a treadmill. The bell rang and the feast began. following year, Butterbean kept adding knockouts to his record. Even without big titles, his popularity grew at the same pace as his weight on the scale, appearing frequently on The Jay Leno Show. He even became the cover star of the EA Sports Tough Men contest video game. Eventually, Butterbean was added to the Knockout Kings roster alongside legends like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. However, his most iconic moment outside the ring came with his appearance on the cult show Jackass. Butterbean's next rival could be called both brave and reckless. Scott Linder, by the look of him, seemed ready to pierce tank armor with a toothpick, and he had never weighed under 300 pounds. When the fight began, Lineker unleashed a storm of punches on Esch, but for Eric that was nothing more than an appetizer. The enraged giant was already prepared for the main course. Lineker's menu didn't impress the Colossus, who answered with a right hand that left him with no options. After several failed attempts to break through Butterbean's defense, Lineker had his brain switch flipped off indefinitely. Months later, Butterbean faced a much tougher opponent, Billy Eaton. With a clear size advantage, he was a serious challenge, and he also sported the fearsome mustache of death. From the start, Eaton justified the fans' concerns when his very first punch knocked Butterbean down. The contest soon turned into an all-out war, reminiscent of the golden age of boxing. Eaton dominated with his physical endurance, while Butterbean punished him relentlessly, painting his face red with every blow. Finally, Eaton ruined Butterbean's record, as long as a McDonald's receipt, by forcing a draw, a majority draw. Although many believed Eaton had been the true winner with his superior performance, Butterbean was not about to tolerate the rumors and demanded an immediate rematch, which came a year later. Before the fight, it was clear that Butterbean was not only stuffed with cheeseburgers, but also fueled by the desire to clear his name. When the bell rang to signal the start of dinner, Butterbean went on the attack and began feasting on his opponent with savage combinations. Eaton, however, wasn't willing to back down and, like a professional hitman, began landing precise headshots on the giant target. That only stoked Butterbean's hunger even more, and when the second round began, he decided to serve his dessert right there in the ring.
But again, he's not the Butterbean that he said he was going to be. That's for sure. Start of round two. Cowboy Bill leading in the blue trunks.
And throwing 37 punches and only 12 pounds.
In the end, Eaton was devoured, and Butterbean silenced all his critics once again. In February 1999, Esch faced Patrick Graham and showed the world not only his raw strength, but also the finesse of his technique. Eric surprised with a much faster right hand and flawless sense of distance. He also demonstrated polished skills even in 10-round fights, maintaining his stamina from start to finish.
Butterbean has no interest other than he's adding a little left jab to it.
It's just hard to imagine how he's going to mount an offense if he can't.
Whoa, a good right hand.
Well, just as I say it, he lands a right hand shot over the top.
As though he didn't mean to do it.
until he sent Graham crashing to the floor with a body punch that hurled him into the ropes.
Here we see the knockdown as
Please step
Graham
back.
leans in. The right hand on the back of the head. Discombobulates him momentarily. Sends him to the canvas.
You notice that Butterbean actually stepped back and countered that jab.
Well, and timed it over the second jab. I mean, it's
That same year, Butterbean stepped into the ring with Jakey Beard, but Beard turned the fight into a circus act. As soon as the bell rang, he looked at Esch as if he weren't a worthy rival but just a sack of cholesterol with gloves, mocking him non-stop. Not even Butterbean's crushing punches managed to bring him to his senses. The guy kept disrespecting the man who wore the most iconic trunks in boxing, until Butterbean, tired of all the mockery, decided to wipe the clown's smile off with his fists. Although Butterbean had already gained recognition and the love of the fans, more even than several elite boxers of the era, many still believed that someone on a hamburger diet didn't deserve such attention. That's why professionals didn't take him seriously. Esch, comfortable in 4-round fights, rarely managed to lure big names into facing him. The exception was Irishman Peter McNeely, famous for his bout with Mike Tyson. In that fight, Tyson practically erased McNeely's survival instincts with his punches. Sometime later, the Irishman decided to challenge our hero. And though his record of 44 wins, 4 losses, and 34 knockouts commanded respect, it didn't intimidate the giant in the star-spangled shorts. The fight began, and Butterbean went straight for McNeely's chin, punishing his body as well. It was as if he had drunk a magic potion. He unleashed wild combinations, even handing out tooth fairy work in the middle of the fight. The referee, unable to watch any more of that one-sided beating, was forced to stop the fight. After piling up more knockouts, Esch decided to step into elite territory. In 2002, Norfolk, Virginia became the stage for an epic clash, Butterbean versus Larry Holmes, a legend whose fists had once brought down Muhammad Ali. Holmes, 52 years old with graying hair, still had a jab capable of rattling anyone. For Butterbean, used to quick 4-round brawls, the biggest challenge was surviving 10 full rounds. From the start, Holmes took control, using his jab to dismantle Butterbean on all fronts. Although the spherical man's body looked like natural armor, Holmes's punches managed to get through. But after recharging with a bit of chocolate syrup between rounds, Butterbean came back determined to prove that the king of short fights could stand tall against the greats. Even so, Holmes's experience prevailed, setting the tempo of the fight. Butterbean, stubborn as ever, chose to collide head-on again and again, as if the fight were happening inside a phone booth. At the end of that brutal 10-round war, both looked like they had been through hell itself. Though victory wasn't his, Butterbean proved that he could stand toe-to-toe with a legend for a full 30 minutes. In 2003, Butterbean made an unexpected shift. He left boxing and dove into kickboxing. In June, the K1 organization welcomed him, and his first opponent was Yusuke Fujioto. Esch adapted quickly and earned respect in his new discipline. Later, he faced Mike Bernardo, a true beast of the ring, feared for steamrolling anyone who dared cross his path. From the very start, Bernardo unleashed brutal combinations to the head and body. While Butterbean could endure the punishment upstairs, his legs, shaped by boxing, weren't prepared for such a storm. Not too eager to keep going, the White Bear decided to take a break. Although he proved he could compete and entertain the crowd, it became clear that kickboxing wasn't his thing, as victories and defeats alternated like pieces on a chessboard. So Butterbean transitioned to mixed martial arts. His start was rough. He lost his first fight against Giannis Sudo and then drew with Michael Bushkovich. But soon he showed what he was really made of against former UFC fighter Wesley "Cabbage" Carrera. The fight began with a brutal exchange at close range. Carrera even served Butterbean the exotic dish called elbow. Esch didn't find it amusing and decided to teach Carrera a lesson. He became more aggressive, closing the distance for a punishing battle. By the end of the second round, it was clear that Carrera had broken his elbow on Butterbean's head. The victory went to our hamburger diet Voldemort. Afterward, he kept competing in MMA, though his fight against James Thompson was the most notable. Thompson had beasts like Mariusz Pudzianowski and Bob Sapp on his record, and was far more athletic than Butterbean. But as usual, he wasted all his energy in the stare-down and couldn't keep up with Esch in the fight. To top it off,
James has to be very careful. He's got a nice height advantage, which is great for the jab, but that overhand right of Butterbean's, we know if that hits, it's going to knock you out. James has to be very careful and keep that left hand up high.
That's a big if, and I think that...
There it is. There you go.
There it is. Oh, that's about it.
Butterbean was already thinking about his second lunch. Eric Esch kept competing until 2013, when he retired at the age of 47. After leaving sports, he neglected his health and surpassed 200 kilos. When his weight became a serious risk, he was invited to the show Lose Weight or Die. In this video, you've witnessed the incredible and sometimes emotional journey of Eric. If you enjoyed it, show your support with a like and a comment. See you soon.